Hi everyone, welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday. My name is Molly and I am the Wellness Supervisor here at Bircham Hills. So today I thought I would take you through a couple of my favorite exercises that we can use to help with improving and maintaining our balance. For a lot of us over the past year or so, we haven't been able to get up and go out and do as much as we would have liked to because of quarantine, and so therefore, a lot of us have probably been doing a fair amount of sitting, present company included. So it's important to really check in with our balance, make sure that we still feel, very sure-footed, and, that we, again, like I said, just check in with that before we kind of go back into everything that we were doing before the quarantine. So I'm going to take you through a couple. Some of you might want to have something stable to hang on to while you do this. Some examples can include, just a hard back chair, something like this. I have a bar here. Other things that work too are if you have, you can stand at the kitchen counter, or if you have, like banisters in a near proximity, anything that works. So just something to consider for safety. And as always, you want to make sure you're wearing good supportive footwear. So no flip-flops or slippers. Okay. So the first one I'm going to take you through is called a calf raise. So our calf is this big meaty part of our lower leg down here. And it is responsible for helping us to point and flex our ankles. When we think about doing this exercise, we want to start with our feet about hip width apart, feet nice and parallel. We want to make sure our knees are straight. We also want to make sure we're not leaning forward like this. We want to squeeze our bottom, push it forward, stand up nice and tall. If you have a chair or a bar, you're just going to rest your fingers on top of it gently. We're not death gripping it here, okay? Next thing we want to do is we want to shift our weight forward slightly so that we feel all of our weight go into the balls of our feet. That's just the front half of our foot. My heels are raised just a little bit. And from here, keeping all of that weight forward on the balls of my feet, I'm going to lift my heels all the way up. And then I'm going to slowly lower them down, and I'm going to stop just before they touch the floor. You want to think again about keeping all of that weight centered over the ball of your feet. We don't want to rock back and forth between the ball and the heel. That's going to make you feel like you're standing up on a boat. Not very good for balance. I always like to do things in sets of 10. It's really kind of up to you. I think just, 10 is a nice good number for that. And try doing a couple sets of 10, just up and down, trying to keep the heels off the floor, keeping the body up nice and tall. Again, just lightly touching the hands for balance. We're not holding our weight up with our arms. So that's example number 1. The next one I'm going to show you are some single knee raises, okay? So this one is exactly what it sounds like. We're doing some single leg knee raises here. So when we think about this in terms of balance, again, we want to keep our weight centered over one fixed point. And in this case, it's our standing leg. So that's the leg that's not coming up and down off the floor. In order to help us keep our body centered over our foot, we want to think about engaging our glutes or our butts. So when we are standing on one foot, the standing leg is actually what is keeping us still and holding that balance. So as we stand here, you want to think about squeezing that glute in that standing leg. That's going to kind of help lock you into place here. Again, we're standing up nice and tall. We're not hunched forward like this. If you need a chair or something for balance, resting the hand on the side of it, I would say same arm as standing leg. So I'm standing on my left foot, I'm hanging on with my left hand. And from there, you're going to practice bringing the knee up as high as you can, pausing, and then slowly lowering it down, and you're going to stop just before the foot gets to the floor. I'm not stamping my foot down, right? I want to try not to touch that foot to the floor until I've done my set of 10. Gradually, what you'll start to notice is you'll feel, okay, I can maybe just do 2 fingers or 1 finger. Maybe I can start to almost do this without touching. But eventually the goal is to be able to do it on your own, just like this. And remember, whatever you do on one side, you want to do on the other. so we're nice and balanced. Third example that's really good for balance. We're going to do what's called a side leg lift here. One of the reasons we're doing these exercises and focusing on the glutes are the glutes, which again is your bottom, play a really big part in balance. They help to keep your hips and your pelvis nice and stabilized. And one of the things that we notice when people don't have very strong glutes, especially as it pertains to balance, I'll use my former example. Instead of keeping their hips nice and still like this, when they try to lift that leg, we'll see the hip go and kind of pop out, right? And that just means the muscles aren't contracting. So this next exercise is a really good one for targeting those muscles specifically, your gluteus minimus and medius. So you're gonna start feet together, knees and toes facing forward, okay? You're going to, again, pick your standing leg, try to keep all of your weight centered over that standing leg. The other leg is going to slowly lift out to the side. I'm keeping my knee and my toes facing forward, and then it's slowly gonna come back down. And notice how I'm not setting that foot down on the floor. It's about 1/2 inch above. We're gonna do a set of 10 here, going out and in. Again, keeping the knee and the toe facing forward. The reason that positioning is so important is because if I allow for my knee and my toe to turn out to the side, I'm no longer working that glute, I'm working my quad muscles here. So just changing the position of that leg actually targets an entirely new muscle group. So that's why that positioning is important. I tend to have people stand both hands on the bar or on the back of your chair. Think about keeping, again, your torso up nice and tall, keeping the core engaged. Think about keeping your hips and your shoulders squared to the front so we're not twisting, right? And you'll do 10 on each side. You should really feel those muscles not only here in the leg that's working, but over here in that standing leg as well. I'm gonna give you one more really good exercise that you can practice to help check back in with that balance. And that's what I'll leave you with for today. So for this next one, I'm going to use a chair. So this last one is pretty simple. It's called a sit to stand. And this is literally what it sounds like. It's us going from sitting to standing. Now, if you scroll back a couple videos, well, a lot of videos ago, I did an entire Wellness Wednesday on how to properly do a sit to stand. So if you want a more in-depth explanation of this, I would recommend going back and checking out that video for reference. But the very basics of this, we want to make sure that we are sitting forward at the edge of our seat so we're not all the way back. We want to plant our feet about hip width apart, and we want those feet to be back underneath us, okay? If your feet are out here in front of you, that's gonna make getting up nearly impossible, right? So feet underneath us. And what we're thinking about doing is transferring our weight forward from off of our bottoms and onto our feet, right? Because as I'm sitting, all my weight's back here. And when I'm standing, all my weight's on my feet. So we want to think about starting, leaning the torso forward, so we're starting that forward shift. And once we can't lean forward anymore, we're going to start pressing through those legs. Now, it's easy for us to think, okay, my legs are involved, I'm just going to go up. But if we start to go up too quickly, that's how we end up plopping back down in our chairs, right? So what you want to look for is feeling all of that weight solidly and squarely over your feet. So I'm leaning forward, I'm pushing, I'm still leaning forward, and I get to about this point and I can feel that my weight is pretty centered over my feet. That tells me I'm balanced and that I can stand all the way up. We want to focus on pushing all the way through the knees, squeezing our bottoms, pushing those hips forward, lifting those chests. We want to stack our body so our head, shoulders, hips, and feet are one on top of the other. We don't want to just get to this point because that's not quite doing it for us, okay? On the way back down, you want to think about, again, pushing the hips back over the chair. I'm keeping my shoulders forward over my toes. Doing it in this position is going to help keep us from plopping. I think we've all experienced that 1 or 2 times. So again, you're going to bend the knees, push the bottom back, keep the shoulders forward, and lower yourself down. Eventually, the goal is to be able to do it without hands like I was showing you. But as we work to build up that balance again, it is okay to use the arms, okay? So again, what you're thinking about doing is pushing yourself forward. You don't want to just be lifting your weight on your arms, okay? Use those arms to help push you forward onto your feet, standing up tall, sitting down, find those arms, and lower yourself back down. Set of 10 is a good place to start. So, those are 4 of my favorite exercises that I have our residents here at Bircham do to help work on their balance. I hope this is something that you can use at home, and you can use that again to help work on your own balance as we work to increase our exercise, get out more in the community as things slowly start to open back up. So, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wellness Wednesday, and we'll see you here again next week. Thank you.